I've been trying to draft scripts for my own review of Into the Dalek for quite a while now, but each time I sit down to write it, I end up writing a 10,000 word essay that would not only make for a pretty rambling and meandering video, but would also be a nightmare to edit. So instead I'm going to divide up some of the topics from this review into several shorter, more manageable videos that focus on individual aspects of this episode, because it's a Dalek story that I have a lot to say about. To begin with, I'll address one of the main criticisms you often see set against this story, that being the fact that this episode has lots of parallels to the Series 1 episode Dalek. I covered this topic in one of the first videos I ever posted to the channel, but I didn't go into much detail, mostly for the sake of brevity, but I'm going to delve into this topic a bit more here. Dalek and Into the Dalek are, on the surface, similar stories. They both feature a damaged Dalek captured by humans. They both feature the Doctor grappling with his deep-rooted hatred of Dalek kind, and they both feature the phrase, "good Dalek." This has caused a lot of people to seemingly write off this episode for its comparisons to Dalek. I guess there are people who recognise these parallels and reach the conclusion that this makes Into the Dalek bad, but this is a viewpoint that I'll never understand. Sure, Dalek and Into the Dalek have some similar themes going on, but scratch through that surface level similarity and it's easy to see that these two stories are actually very different, and in some ways, they are actually exact opposites of each other. Take the scene that everyone talks about when debating this episode. The bit at the end when Rusty says, "I am not a good Dalek, you are a good Dalek," to the Doctor. On the surface, it seems like a repeat of what we saw from Dalek, where the Doctor flies off the handle at the Dalek telling it to destroy itself and that its species deserve to be extinct and that its entire purpose is meaningless, and the Dalek replies with, "You would make a good Dalek." See how both scenes use the phrase "good Dalek"? This clearly makes them the exact same, right? Wrong. This viewpoint baffles me. It's like something an AI would come up with, like it recognises the similar syntax being used and draws a comparison without grasping how the context of the two scenes differ so radically. In Dalek, the Dalek is saying that, at this exact moment, the Doctor would be a fine example of Dalek kind. Hateful, aggressive, and murderous. He's mocking the Doctor, basically saying to him, "Look at yourself, look at what you are becoming right now." He takes all the Doctor's spiteful rage and throws it back in his face with a single cutting comment designed to throw the Doctor off. It's malicious, cold, and cruel. And to be honest, in this context, the Doctor deserved to be taken down a notch. Sure, this is a very emotional point in his life and he's not entirely stable, but in this scene in particular, he's definitely crossed the line, to the extent that even the Dalek recognises that he'd gone off the deep end. But in Into the Dalek, the circumstances are quite different. Rusty had his mind opened to new ideas, and the Doctor thought he could awaken Rusty to a new, better life if he made contact with his mind and showed him the beauty of the universe that he sees. However, all Rusty sees in the Doctor is his deeply buried, burning hatred for all Daleks. The Doctor had this one chance to make a truly good Dalek, and he accidentally ends up creating one of the most hateful and murderous Daleks in the universe because of his own failing, his own hate. Unlike the 9th Doctor, the 12th Doctor doesn't make his hate for the Daleks known. It doesn't boil over in fits of rage like it did in Series 1. He's had 6 seasons by this point to manage his rage and keep his hatred in check, but the hate is still there. He bottled it up, but it didn't go away. And so, when Rusty gives him the chance to create a good Dalek, he takes Clara's lesson to heart and jumps at the chance to help without fully considering the consequences. Had anyone else tried this, it might have worked. If Clara had been the one mind-melding with Rusty, maybe he actually would have turned good, but the Doctor underestimated his own capacity for hatred. He effectively betrayed himself, and this one golden opportunity slipped from his grasp because of his personal flaws. In the final scene, when Rusty prepares to leave, he expresses curiosity at the Doctor's distress, querying why he isn't pleased at the victory now that the other Daleks have been destroyed. The Doctor, recognising Rusty's true nature as possibly one of the most dangerous beings in the universe, states that making a good Dalek would have been a victory, but instead all he did was give Rusty yet another thing to hate. Rusty confirms that he is not a good Dalek, but affirms that there is still a victory here. There is a good Dalek. The Doctor is the good Dalek. He thinks like a Dalek, he strategizes like a Dalek, he hates like a Dalek, but he chooses to be good. That's what matters. That's what Series 8's entire theme is all about. Being good or bad is a choice we can make at any time we want. I made a flippant comment about syntax before, but honestly, that's what this all comes down to. In fact, it's all down to a single capital letter. You would make a good Dalek, and you are a good Dalek. Very similar phrases, very different meanings. One intended as a mocking retort to a man who let his burning hate get the better of him, the other intended as a grim form of consolation to a man whose repressed hate crept up and stabbed him in the back. But that's just my interpretation. What do you think? How do you choose to interpret Rusty's final line in Into the Dalek? Is it just a pastiche of an earlier, more popular Dalek story? Or is there a deeper meaning to Rusty's words and to Into the Dalek in general? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.